The Stick, a Detective Conley mystery. When Samantha awoke, the first sensations of consciousness were unpleasant. Her mouth was dry and her head was pounding. She opened her eyes for a split second, only to shut them tight again. The light aggravated the headache. She tried to pierce through the fog in her brain and recall the events of the previous night. There was a memory of meeting Cindy at Harry's, a bar they loved to frequent. Had she had too much to drink? Yes, that's what this felt like. 28 years old and still repeating the same mistakes. She realized she was naked. It could only mean one thing, and it added to her confusion. She opened her eyes again, working through the ache to keep them open this time. Her clothes were on the floor. She faintly remembered entering the apartment with someone. Kisses in the dark, undressing, the warm embrace of a tall, ripped body. Ecstasy. Not wanting to change position and make the headache worse, she moved her left hand behind her to search the other side of the bed. It made contact with skin, and further probing confirmed it was a muscular arm. So, it was not a dream. But something felt off. Her curiosity got the better of her, and she turned over to face her mystery lover. The scream was piercing and lasted a few seconds, ending when she fell off the bed in shock. There lay a naked body, face up. There was an addition, one that explained the reaction and why the arm felt so cold. A knife blade was sticking out of his chest. She slid back to the wall, sobbing, and sat there for a while with her knees drawn in. Once she had calmed down, she mustered enough courage to walk over to the bed. She did not recognize the face. Or did she? What were they doing together? If only she could remember. Cindy was her best bet. Samantha called her best friend and co-worker. 10 minutes later, the call ended, and things were a lot clearer now, though there were still some blank spots. But she knew what she had to do next. Homicide Detective Paul Conley stepped out of his car and took a moment to scan the swanky apartment buildings in Old Town. It was his second day back at work with Wichita PD after a brief stint in California. Any hopes of easing into the job had been dashed, for here he was, investigating a murder, bright and early. The call had come in as he was seating himself for breakfast with Brigitte. The aroma of the bacon and eggs that he had been deprived of still lingered in his nose. His stomach growled in protest. As he approached the crime scene, he noted the impeccable job the patrol officers had done. They had taped off not only the second-floor apartment, but also the path leading up to it. The familiar face of Officer Davis greeted him at the boundary. Paul signed in and ascended the staircase. The door to the apartment was open, with the techs dusting for prints. He stopped to examine the door without touching it. No signs of forced entry. He entered, and the first thing he noticed was a sobbing woman seated on the couch. Long blonde hair, attractive face, the beauty marred by the puffy eyes and pained expression. She had on a plain white shirt and blue jeans. Next to her sat a uniformed officer he had never seen before. Must be a rookie, he thought. He nodded to her and moved to the bedroom, where the body presented itself. This would have taken a lot of force, he mused, as he studied the knife inserted cleanly into the hefty torso. "Morning, Paul," drawled Natalie from Forensics. "Didn't know you were back." "Wouldn't miss this for anything," he smiled back. "What do we have so far?" "Instant death. Whoever did this knew what they were doing. Clean entrance straight into the heart. No blood. Sometime between 4 a.m. and 6 a.m. We have prints on the knife. Checking for more from other parts of the apartment, but not sure if that will lead anywhere." "Yeah, it could be anybody who has been in here recently." Paul returned to the living room and introduced himself to the officer and the witness. "How are you doing, Samantha?" "Okay, I guess," she replied with a sniffle. "Can you tell me what happened?" I I don't know. I woke up and there he was, all dead." "You were with him in bed all night?" "I I guess so." "You're not sure?" "No, I was totally wasted. Don't remember much." "So, You don't have any idea who did this, and when?
No.
I noticed your clothes on the floor by your side of the bed. Was that what you were wearing last night?
Yes.
And the clothes you have on now, where did you get those? Samantha gave him a confused look.
Um, from my closet?
Did you touch anything else?
No. I called 911 as soon as I saw the body, and then I put these on and waited.
That's good. Wouldn't want to disturb a crime scene. And what time was it you discovered it?
Oh, I don't remember. Around 8, I guess, when I woke up.
Sounds about right. Dispatch received your call at 8:07 a.m. What's his name? Paul asked, indicating the bedroom.
Alex. Alexander Khrushchev.
And you knew him well?
No. Yesterday was the first time we met.
I see. And where was this?
At Harry's bar.
Ah, Harry's. Love it. They make a mean martini. Now, tell me everything. What happened there? How the two of you got here?
Um, I was meeting my friend Cindy for drinks there. We were gossiping away when he walked over and started flirting with me. He was fun and so gorgeous. We hit it off right away. I don't recall much after that. Never knew when to stop drinking.
So, you don't remember coming home with him?
Just very faint images. I do recall entering with him. I fumbled with the keys outside.
I see. And did you find anything strange about the apartment?
Strange? Like what? I told you, I don't recall much until I woke up this morning.
Do you remember how you got from Harry's? It seems you weren't in any condition to drive.
In his car. I didn't take mine since I knew I would be drinking.
I see. So his car should still be here?
I guess. It should be in a visitor spot.
Can you describe the car?
Red. It was red. A Honda, I think. Yes, definitely a Honda. Civic.
We'll look for it. I assume you don't know what time you got back?
No.
Do you recall getting intimate with him?
Kinda.
Samantha's cheeks went pink as she replied.
I I don't usually do this kind of thing.
Do you recognize the knife?
You mean, is it mine? No, never seen it before.
All right. We will have to keep this place sealed as a crime scene. You have some place you can crash until then?
Oh, I can't stay here?
Nope.
How long will you be here?
As long as it takes. But typically, for a case like this, I would estimate not more than a couple of days.
I can go over to Cindy's. I just need to grab a few things first.
Sorry, can't let you go in there or touch anything.
But
She stopped on seeing Paul's unmoving face. Leave us your contact number and Cindy's address. The officer noted the details. Samantha made a quick call to Cindy to notify her, and then she was off. Paul donned his gloves and stepped back into the bedroom. He started with the walk-in closet, chock full of clothes and shoes. Expensive stuff. He couldn't resist a smile. Brigitte would have loved this collection. He exited the closet and scanned the room again. Alex's discarded clothes lay on the floor. A dress shirt, blue jeans, briefs, and a leather bomber jacket. Brown Timberland boots under the bed. Paul picked up each item to confirm there was nothing else in there. He searched the pockets. No phone, no wallet. A key. Probably to his home. But no car key. Paul frowned. No way to verify the victim's identity or where he lived. Only the name Samantha had given him. He stepped out of the apartment to canvass the neighbors. There were 10 units on each floor. 40 minutes later, he had interviewed 8 of the neighbors on the second floor. No one had seen or heard anything. One neighbor did not answer. He would get back to that one later. 3 apartments in on the first floor and still no luck. He knocked on the door of the one directly below Samantha's. It opened a crack to reveal a woman's questioning face. In her 50s, estimated Paul. He introduced himself and held up his badge.
I'm Diane,
she replied as she let him in. Once settled on the couch, he explained why he was there.
So, that's what all the commotion's about, she said. Never seen cops around here. It's a safe neighborhood. At least, it used to be.
She paused for a few moments, then continued.
Last night, you say?
Yes.
So it was her, then.
What do you mean?
Well, I went to bed early last night, around 9. It was one of those exhausting days. Around 2 a.m., I woke up to some noise outside. It sounded like a man and a woman talking, and she was tittering away every few seconds. Drunk, I'm sure.
Did you see who it was?
No, I stayed in bed. It was bad enough to be forced awake like that. I didn't have the motivation to get up.
What happened next?
I tried to get back to sleep, but they just wouldn't let me. I heard them go up the stairs, could hear her heels go clickety-clack. Then they took forever to open the door, and they slammed it shut.
That's interesting. None of the neighbors reported hearing anything.
You think I'm lying?
Diane narrowed her sparkling blue eyes as she said it. Sorry, that's not what I meant.
No worries. I'm a light sleeper. Anyway, thank goodness they're inside, I thought to myself. Now I might be able to sleep. But no, they just had to get some action, if you know what I mean.
You could hear them?
Oh, yes. The thing is, the walls between these apartments are well insulated. Can't hear much of what's going on with your next-door neighbor, but between floors, not as good.
How long did this continue?
Not long, thankfully. I fell asleep after that.
And what time was this?
I didn't check. Couldn't have been later than 3, I guess.
Anything after that?
I saw her this morning.
You went to her apartment?
No, I was looking out the window and I saw her.
What time was that? Asked Paul, trying to contain his excitement.
Around 7:30. First she dumped a garbage bag in the community trash bin. Then she came out again with a black duffel bag and a laptop and put those in her car.
And you're sure about this?
Diane's eyes narrowed again. Paul threw in a question before she could protest the implied skepticism.
What color was the garbage bag?
Black, and it looked quite empty.
I see. Did you see her again?
No.
And how did she seem?
Nervous, like she was in a hurry.
How well do you know Samantha?
Not that well, actually. Other than some polite neighborly conversations. If my memory serves me right, she only moved in here a few months ago. Seems like a nice girl.
Have you ever seen her with anyone? Any visitors?
No male visitors, if that's what you mean. She told me she was single. There's this woman who was here with her a couple of times. Probably a friend.
Cindy, thought Paul. Well, thank you, Diane. You have been most helpful. Do call me if you remember anything else, he said as he rose to leave and handed her his card. Once outside, he wrapped up the remaining interviews. There was one neighbor who confirmed Diane's story about the late-night disturbance, but beside that, there was no new information. It was time to move on to the task he had been dreading. Paul stood before the community dumpster, staring at it as if that would get the stench to back down. The painful memories of a previous dumpster dive were still fresh in his mind. He couldn't stand another ruined suit. Resigned, he hoisted himself up the wall of the bin and scanned the contents. To his relief, the few black bags in there stood out in a sea of white ones, and the black ones were bursting at the seams. Except for one. That would make his work easy. He carefully landed in the bin, grabbed his evidence, and escaped before there was any damage done. He emptied the bag onto the ground. A wallet and a cell phone. Again, no car key. The wallet contained a $20 bill, a driver's license, and a credit card. Alexander Dmitriev Khrushchev was the name on the card and the license. The phone was locked and would need some work. He roamed the apartment complex parking lot, on the lookout for a red Civic. But there wasn't one. Had Samantha lied about this, too? Paul spent the afternoon at his desk, writing up the case reports. He entered Harry's bar just after 6 p.m., ensuring he was there before it got too crowded. Of the 10 tables, only one was occupied. A man sat at the bar nursing his whiskey. Behind the bar stood the owner, Harry Belichick, breaking into a smile on seeing his regular walk in. Paul smiled back and walked up to him. "The usual, Paul?" "Man, I sure could use a martini. But this is a professional visit." "Oh? What's wrong?" he asked, looking concerned. "I have some questions about last night. New case I'm working on." "Ask away. Anything I can do to help?" Paul held up his phone so Harry could see the picture. "Was she in here yesterday?" "Sam? When isn't she in here?" he replied with an amused expression, before the concerned look returned. "Is she in some kind of trouble?" Perhaps. Sorry, I can't tell you much. So she was here last evening?" "Yes, sat there." Harry pointed to the table in the corner. "Who was she with?" "Her friend Cindy, another regular." "No one else?" "A man joined them after a while." "What did he look like?" "Tall, Caucasian, well-built." "Ever seen him before?" "Nope." "How did they seem?" "Can't say. Wasn't watching them or anything. It was a busy night." "What time did they leave?" "Not sure, but Sam and the guy left first. She looked quite drunk. Cindy stayed until closing." "And she was alone after they left?" "Yes, I did see her make a couple of calls, but that's about it." "I see." "Speaking of Cindy..." Harry's gaze moved past Paul. Paul turned around to see a woman standing by the corner table, taking off her coat. She was about the same height as Samantha and just as attractive. "That her?" Harry nodded. "Thanks, Harry. I have some questions for her." "Sure. Say hi to Brigitte." "Will do. And I'll be back soon for that martini." "Welcome any time, my friend." Paul walked up to the table, introduced himself, and settled into the chair across from Cindy. The hazel eyes didn't hide the fact that this intrusion was not welcome. "Expecting someone?" he asked. "No. Sam didn't want to come, so it's just me. She's still recovering from the shock." "She's all alone at home?" "You judging me? Think I'm some cold-hearted bitch who is out to have a good time while her friend wallows in misery?" "That's not what I—" "Just so you know, I called in sick at work as soon as Sam called me this morning. Took care of her all day today. The only reason I stepped out is because she said she needed some space. Needed to be alone. Capiche?" "That's not what I was implying, but I get it. Now, I have some questions about last night." "Sure, go ahead." "I assume Samantha told you everything?" "Yes, of course. Poor thing." "Had you ever met Alex before?" "No. Yesterday was the first time I knew he existed." "For Samantha, too?" "First time for her as well. Seemed like a decent guy, though I did warn her to call it a night." "Warn her? Why?" "I don't think taking a random stranger home is a good idea. For all you know, he could be a serial killer, or a rapist, or worse. Besides, she was drunk." "What time did they leave?" "I think it was around 1 a.m." "And you stayed back?" "Yes. Unlike Sam, I paced myself with the alcohol. I figured I could handle one more drink." "Do you think she did it?" "What, the murder? Samantha couldn't hurt a fly," Cindy replied. "Then again, one never knows these days. One minute someone's living a normal life, next minute they're shooting up people at the mall. Crazy times we live in." "But you're close friends. Surely you knew her very well." "We're close, yes, and we do spend a lot of time together. At work, after work. But can you really be sure you know someone's deepest, darkest secrets?" I guess not. For an instant, Paul considered asking her about Samantha's laptop and duffel bag, but decided against it. It would be better to confront Samantha directly. Anyway, that's all the questions I have for you. I do appreciate you talking to me. Call me if you remember anything else. He stood up, waved goodbye to Harry, and exited the building. The next morning, after a hearty breakfast, Paul drove over to the Oak View address on Alex's license. It was a run-down building. Alex rented a studio there. Paul used the key and entered. A whiff of pepperoni hit him, and his thoughts drifted to lunch for a few moments before returning to the scene before him. The apartment was empty except for a twin mattress on the carpeted floor. It had a navy blue fitted sheet on it. A matching comforter lay in a heap at the foot of the mattress. He scanned the small closet to the side. A couple of shirts, a pair of jeans, some socks, and underwear. He walked over to the kitchen and inspected the cabinets. 2 unopened bottles of Smirnoff. A glass. Nothing else. In the sink were 2 dirty plates, 2 dirty spoons, and a glass. An empty pizza box lay next to the sink. He opened the fridge. Half a loaf of white bread and a half-full gallon jug of whole milk. Paul moved on to the bathroom. Only the basic necessities. He stepped out. This time he noticed a black adapter and cable plugged into an outlet. So, Alex had a laptop. Where was it? He checked under the mattress, but there was nothing there. Disappointed, he left the studio. Paul sat across from Lieutenant Matt Ziegler, filling him in on the case progress. It had been 2 days since the murder. They had been partners at one time, before Matt moved up the career ladder. He watched as Matt stuffed his face with one more chocolate donut. That was once Paul's specialty, until he had wised up and drilled himself back into shape. Yet, he felt a hint of temptation building up inside him. "Thanks, but no donuts for me," he replied as Ziegler offered him one. "That stuff will kill you." "Donuts? Funny, I get it. Must be stupid eating this stuff." "You know what, bud? You only get one life. And what's life without this sweet goodness? Anyway, more for me. Now, what do you got on this case?" "The autopsy confirmed the time of death and cause of death. Now this woman, Samantha, she's little. I don't think she could have done it. Wouldn't have the physical strength. Plus, she was blind drunk. I verified it with folks at the bar. But the fingerprint analysis came back today. She was all over the knife." "So she's our man, or woman?" "Perhaps. I also know she lied." "How so?" "She told me she woke up around 8 a.m., saw him dead, and called 911, all within minutes. But one of the neighbors I interviewed was positive she saw her up and about at 7:30. "Oh!" Paul told him about the trash bag. "Jackpot!" Matt said as he slammed his hand on the desk. "She killed him! Why else would she need to dump his stuff?" "That's what I thought, too. But why bother giving me his name? It was a one-night stand, after all. She could have claimed she didn't get his name." "Playing it smart, leaving out too much, and it rouses suspicion. But if she cooperates a little, well, it's like she's on our side. Now, the car bit is interesting. You didn't find the key or the car. Did she just make it up?" "That was my first thought, too. But the DMV confirmed Alex has a red Civic registered. So either the killer stole it or Samantha is lying about coming home in it."
"My bet is she's the killer. She got rid of his car, just like she tried to dump his wallet and card. We need to find it."
We widened our search for it. Didn't find much at his apartment either. Paul related what he had discovered at the studio.
"Interesting. And his laptop was not at Samantha's?"
"No."
"Run a search on him?"
"I did. He's been in the country 2 years now, and he lived alone. As far as I can tell, he has no family here. He came in on a student visa to study industrial engineering at Wichita State, but something's fishy there. He didn't attend any classes, though he is still enrolled."
"Interesting." Matt furrowed his brows to project a pensive look. "And the phone?"
"It's under analysis. There's more going on here than a simple one-night stand gone wrong. My guess is that these two had a history. I need search warrants for Samantha's car and Cindy's apartment. Get an arrest warrant as well. We have a sufficient probable cause. Our case will be stronger if I can establish without doubt that Samantha and Alex already knew each other. I should be able to verify that with their phone records. What about other prints in the apartment? We found a couple. Still working on those. All this could take time. Let's make the arrest. The search and phone records can happen in parallel. Sure, I'll get cracking on the warrants, Paul replied as he stood up to leave. And Paul? What? I had to jump through a lot of hoops to get you back in Homicide. Don't let me down. You know you can count on me. Once out of earshot, he muttered to himself, No pressure, Paul. No pressure. Cindy awoke to the sound of the coffee machine, surprised that Samantha was up before her. Perhaps Sam was finally feeling better. She got out of bed and walked over to the kitchen. Samantha gave a start on seeing Cindy and dropped the canister lid she was holding.
Jesus, Cindy, you scared me. I didn't hear you coming. Sorry, dear. I guess that means I still got that stealthy cat-like walk, Cindy replied with a smile. You're up early.
Samantha picked up the lid and placed it back on the canister.
Yes, I figured I should get back to work, she said as she handed a coffee mug to her friend. I have a lot to catch up on. Ha! I was hoping you made some for me, too.
Cindy took a sip.
You sure you're ready? It's only been 3 days. I'm sure they wouldn't mind giving you a few more days off considering what you've been through. I think I'm ready. Besides, I need to work to get my mind off what happened. You know how I get when I have nothing to do. Yes. And what about the problem we were discussing last night? You sure you don't need my help? You'll be in big trouble if the cops find out. Don't worry about it. I have it under control. All right. Go on, then. I'll see you at the office.
Samantha stepped out of the apartment and breathed in the fresh morning air, glad to be getting back to her regular routine. She walked down the street and turned into the alley leading to her parked Porsche. A burly man approached in the distance. He seemed vaguely familiar, but she couldn't place him. Her polite smile morphed into wide-eyed horror as he grabbed her shoulders instead of walking past. "Where is it?"
What?
she replied, trembling in fear. "The stick. Where is it?" Her heart sank as she realized what he wanted, and instantly she recalled where she had seen him before. So it hadn't been a dream. Her knees buckled with the memory of the knife in her hand. He pushed her against the wall, his face close enough that she could feel the warmth of his breath. "Where is it? In your bag?"
Samantha!
A voice rang out as the man reached for her laptop case. They turned to see who had spoken. Relief surged through her body. The man cursed and made one last attempt to wrest the bag from her before he admitted defeat and escaped. Even in that fearful state, she had maintained her iron grip. Back at Cindy's, Samantha calmed her nerves with a steaming mug of cocoa. Paul sat across from her, eagerly waiting for answers. Her friend looked on anxiously. "What happened back there? Who was that guy?" he began once he concluded Samantha was stable.
He was trying to rob me. Thankfully you arrived in time, or he would have made off with my laptop.
"So, you don't know him?"
No, never seen him before.
She took another sip. Paul wished he had some cocoa, too. "This laptop, is this the one you moved to your car before calling 911? Samantha's face froze, but her hands trembled just enough that the cocoa would have spilled if she hadn't steadied the mug in time.
I don't know what you mean. I told you before, I made the call immediately. Didn't go anywhere until the cops arrived.
Then how come the laptop was in the car?
I left it there the previous night.
I see. What about the duffel bag? Did you leave that in the car, too? Cindy shifted uneasily. Samantha tightened her grip on the mug, her fingers turning white.
What bag? I don't know what you're talking about.
It's the one you put in the car along with the laptop, after you dumped the trash. This time her mouth opened in shock, but no words came out. I know about his phone and wallet.
Oh,
Paul could see this revelation had hit home. Time to turn on the pressure. I have a warrant for your arrest. For Alex's murder. You would have been in jail by now if not for the incident this morning. So, if you want to make your case, this is your chance.
I didn't do it. Please believe me.
For the first time, there was a hint of desperation in her voice. What's in the bag?
I, I,
I find it hard to trust you about the murder if you can't give me straight answers for the two questions.
cash. 200,000 in cash. Oh, Sam.
Cindy cut in, concern written all over her face. Paul turned back to Samantha. That's a lot of money. Where did you get it?
He gave it to me.
Who? Alex?
Yes,
What for?
for information.
What information? Paul tried to keep his excitement in check. His heart would leap out of his chest at any moment, he thought. It made sense now. The expensive clothes and accessories. The Porsche. This is how she could afford it.
I work for Lumio D. We handle defense contracts. Alex was a Russian agent. For the past year, I had been sharing confidential information with him for money.
So he was right. They did know each other before that night. But this espionage angle was unexpected. You got your money. Why kill him? He asked in a casual tone. Perhaps she would slip up.
I didn't kill him.
Then who did? You were the only one there when he died.
I don't know,
She replied as she broke into tears. Did you give Alex the information that night?
No, I was going to give it to him before he left in the morning.
Is it on the laptop?
No, on a USB stick.
And where is the stick now?
Oh,
Samantha's eyes widened as if a thought had struck her.
I remember where I saw him.
Saw who?
The man who attacked me today.
Ah, so you remember him now. I thought you said you had never seen him before.
I know, but it just came to me. You know how foggy my memory was that night?
Very conveniently foggy. Anyway, go on.
He wanted the stick. I saw him that night.
Saw him where?
In my bedroom. He must have killed Alex.
Then why were your prints on the knife?
Oh, I...
And how did he get in?
He must have broken in.
No signs of a break-in anywhere.
Oh, I must have forgotten to lock the door. I was wasted, remember?
Perhaps. Where's the stick now?
He took it.
What else did he want from you?
Nothing.
Then why was he trying to snatch your laptop?
I don't know.
Don't know or don't want to tell?
I really don't know. It's my work laptop. Maybe he thought he could get some more data off of it.
I see. How often did you meet Alex?
This was the first time.
But you said...
We did dead drops before. We would decide on a location via text. I would place a stick there and pick up the money he had left for me. It was strictly professional in the beginning. But around a month ago, the text started getting personal. We just had to meet. So we figured we could combine business with pleasure. I didn't know what he looked like until Harry's.
A fresh tear flowed down her face. She wiped it and glanced up at Paul. He stared back, processing what he had heard. To believe her or not to believe, that was the question.
He was so sweet. There's no way I would kill him,
she added for good measure. There's a lot of money involved here. How do I know you really cared for him? Perhaps you lured him to your apartment so he would let down his guard. Then you stabbed him. You get to keep the dough and the information.
Not true. And what about the man from this morning?
Yeah, what about him? Was his motive for killing Alex? He didn't take the stick. He didn't take the cash. You're making it all up.
No, I'm not. He didn't take the stick that night because he couldn't find it. I know he searched for it. The place was a mess.
Didn't look messy to me.
Because I cleaned up before I placing the call. I didn't want anyone to suspect he was looking for something. At first I panicked when I saw Alex dead, but then I realized I could get into trouble. I moved the money, the stick, and the laptop to the car. I stashed his phone and wallet to make it harder to trace him and find any prior connection to me.
And yet you gave me his real name.
It would be too suspicious if I gave you nothing.
It's still suspicious. The fact is, your prints are on the murder weapon.
Look at me. Do you seriously think I could push a knife through Alex's body like that? Besides, do I look so stupid that I wouldn't wipe the prints?
No, and no. But all the evidence points in your direction. So tell me, what time did you really wake up that morning?
I don't know. It was probably around 7.
Much better. Now, you said you drove home in Alex's red Civic.
Right. That's what I remember.
And that it should have been in a visitor parking spot.
Right. What are you getting at?
We didn't find a red Civic anywhere.
Oh.
The confusion on her face seemed genuine. Could fool anyone, thought Paul. She continued.
Then the killer must have taken it.
And why would he, or she, do that?
I don't know. How else could it disappear?
I hope to find out soon. Now, here's what we're going to do. I'm going to take you down to the station. I have a couple of officers waiting outside. They'll come in and search this apartment and your car.
Search the apartment? Do you have a warrant?
Asked Cindy, alarmed. Yes, I do. And you'll have to step out while they're here. He called his officers, briefing them once they arrived. The women protested as he arrested Samantha. A few minutes later, they departed, Paul and Samantha to the station, and Cindy going no one knew where, as she grumbled about police heavy-handedness. Cindy laced up and stepped out of her apartment at 6:30 a.m., eager to squeeze a quick run into her busy schedule. She jogged a few laps through the charming streets of Old Town before entering Hyde Park. It was still early, and the usual bustling children's playground in the center of the park was deserted. There were a handful of runners like her out and about. She collapsed onto one of the benches, sweat streaming down her face. A young couple strolled by, hand in hand. Following close behind them was a hefty man. Without saying anything, he settled beside her. She casually fished out a USB stick from her pocket and placed it between them. Just as casually, he pocketed it. After a minute, he glanced at his watch and walked away. Another minute later, Cindy was relaxing against the back of the bench when a suit filled up the vacant spot next to her. "Hello, Cindy," he said. The voice was familiar, and she didn't need to see the face to know who it was. In an instant, she felt a sinking feeling in the pit of her stomach. She looked past him down the path and saw the first man being handcuffed. "How did you get it, Cindy? I know Samantha didn't tell you."
I knew it had to be in the apartment, so I searched everywhere after you took Sam away. Took me all day to find it.
"Where was it?"
At the bottom of the sugar canister.
"How on earth did you think of looking there?"
In all the years I've known Sam, I've never seen her use sugar. She considers it unhealthy. But when I walked into the kitchen that morning, the morning she was arrested, she was closing the canister. She gave a start when she saw me. I didn't think much of it at the time, but it got me thinking once I'd exhausted all my options."
"Funny business," Paul chuckled.
"What's so funny about it?"
"She didn't want us to search for the stick, so she told me Kurt had it. She thought she was safe with you. But when you started asking her about it, she got worried. She told me, so you wouldn't get your hands on it."
Wonder what aroused her suspicion. It's not like I didn't know what she had been up to. We discuss this stuff all the time.
But never in so much detail. Never the specifics. That's where you messed up.
If you knew where it was, why didn't you just come and get it yourself? I needn't have gone to all this trouble.
We needed to know how much you actually knew, and how deeply you were involved in this. This way we caught you in the act. With him. Besides, she didn't tell us exactly where it was hidden, just that we needed to watch out for you. Cindy sighed, her shoulders drooping. Paul read her the Miranda warning before cuffing her. It was all over. Paul stepped in the front door to find Brigitte looking stunning in a red cocktail dress. He feasted his eyes as he went up to her and kissed her on the lips. As he held his wife tight, he counted his blessings. Life was awesome with her back in it. "Are we going somewhere?" he asked once he got his breath back.
Maybe. But we begin by celebrating with a home-cooked dinner. You just wrapped up your first case after getting back.
It's no big deal.
Well, I think it is. Remember how we celebrated your first one in Homicide?
Oh, yeah. I can't forget that one. We went crazy, didn't we?
We sure did, she replied as she kissed him again.
An hour later, they lay on the floor, glowing with satisfaction. Brigitte's head rested on his chest.
So, it wasn't Samantha? She asked, curious about the remaining details of the case she had been hearing about all week.
No, she was telling the truth about the murder after all. Though she'll get into plenty of trouble for espionage. We've notified Homeland Security.
Who killed him then?
It was the man who accosted her in the alley. Another spy. Kurt Woolsey. He worked for the Chinese. He wanted the data she was supplying to the Russians.
I don't get it. If he murdered the Russian, why didn't he get the data that night?
Couldn't find it. He tried to rouse Sam to force her to tell him, but she was in no condition to answer. That's why he came after her in the alley.
If this Kurt guy did it, why were her prints on the knife?
My wife, the detective, Paul replied with a smile.
Living with you all these years has rubbed off on me.
Why were her hands on the knife? Well, he wiped it clean and placed her hands on it while she was semi-conscious to implicate her. Sam told me she remembered having it in her hands. For a while, she was worried she had actually done it.
So were friend Cindy. She didn't have anything to do with it.
Quite the opposite. Cindy is the one who fed Kurt with the information. You see, they both worked in the same department at Lumio D, but had different levels of access. While Sam was supplying information to the Russians, Cindy supplied the Chinese. She tried to convince Sam to join her. The Chinese offered her a lot more than what the Russians were paying. But by then, Sam was enchanted with Alex. She refused. Cindy was furious, but didn't show it. Meeting for drinks that evening was Cindy's idea. She knew her friend was doing the drop, so she notified Kurt. She ensured Sam and Alex got drunk. Kurt followed them home to get the stick. He murdered Alex to get a rival out of the way.
What an awful woman, deceiving her friend like that. Didn't care if she was implicated for murder. I'm so glad you were able to figure it out.
Yeah, though Samantha's no angel. She kinda deserved it.
Yes, she did. What happens to Cindy?
She's in trouble with Homeland, too.
Good. What happened to the Civic?
Kurt drove off with it. He figured if the stick was not in the apartment, then it must be in Alex's car. He didn't want to risk a search in the parking lot. A secluded spot would work better. He burned the car once he was done to ensure there was no evidence of his presence. We found the remains out by Greenwich Elementary.
He didn't search Samantha's car?
He wanted to, but it was already morning by then, by the time he had returned. Too risky.
What about Alex's laptop?
It was in his car. Kurt took it home with him. We've handed it off to Homeland. The house fell silent for a few seconds. Honey? Paul broke the silence.
Yes?
What's for dinner?
Your favorite?
I'm starving. Why am I not surprised? Brigitte chuckled. Paul joined in. Let's eat, she said. Yes, let's do that. Author's note. This is where it all started, my first short story. The basic idea had been camping in my head for a while. A woman wakes up to find a dead man next to her with no memory of what happened. It's a common trope, but I was sure I had a compelling story to tell. At the time, I was wrapping up barefoot in the parking lot, and my mind only functioned in terms of novels. So I let it sit, like a lot of other ideas that were popping up. But I couldn't stop thinking about this one. The plot developed. There's a mystery man watching her. She's innocent, but I still didn't have anything for a full novel. It's only after I completed my novel that it occurred to me that I didn't have to limit myself to longer works. Short stories were a great alternative. It was so liberating, and soon things fell in place. I started writing, not knowing that the story would veer into spy territory. Writing the Detective Conley character and barefoot in the parking lot was a delight, and this story allowed me to keep him going. And you finally got to meet lovely Brigitte.